some linebackers. Who are your top 5 linebackers? Or do you want me to read them so you don't have to use up valuable voice time and then you can just analyze? I'll read them. You analyze them.
Let's do that.
Yeah. Nakobe Dean 1, Devin Lloyd 2, Kway Walker 3, Leo Chenal, which sounds like, I don't know, like somebody who runs a Jewish deli in Manhattan or something like that. And then Troy Anderson at 5 for you, your top 5 linebackers. Highlight somebody, even maybe Nakobe Dean, who you listed as that you're confident in as a. By the way, I've said this a couple times. I'll say it again. I think we'll go back and look at this Georgia defense like we look at the LSU offense from Joe Burrow's championship year, where it's like, oh my God, they had 7 Pro Bowl caliber NFL players on there, including Nakobe Dean.
Yeah, I mean, he kind of overtook Devin Lloyd late in the process for me because I was very high on Lloyd from the beginning. A guy that has improved in coverage. He can play sideline to sideline. He's got great ball skills. Nakobe Dean is just an incredibly intelligent player. He's willing to do anything that you ask of him on defense. He'll do all the dirty work. He'll take on blocks. He'll fight down the line and work upstream. I mean, he does everything that you need him to do as a linebacker. So that's why I have a little bit more confidence in his transition to the NFL, even if by standards he is a little bit undersized traditionally. I mean, he's 5'11", 229 pounds. So traditionally undersized, but a guy that with the way that he approaches the game, his intelligence, I just don't see a way that this guy is not successful at the next level. Kway Walker is a guy that, on that Georgia defense was a role player for most of his career, a reserve player. I think you saw this year that he's capable of playing sideline to sideline as well. He can fit run gaps. He can drop into coverage. I mean, this is a guy that, is not quite Jordan Davis level unicorn, but a guy that size, speed potential, is off the charts. So I think you're kind of banking on what he could become given a larger sample size at the next level. Leo Chenal, another one of those slow burn guys for me. I did not see what everybody else was seeing early in the process. And the more that I watched him, I started to see that. He ran a 4.53 at the combine to go along with, 6'2", 260 pounds. He's incredible. And then Troy Anderson, a guy that's just scratching the surface of what he could become. He can drop into coverage, but he's still learning how to work sideline to sideline and what offenses are trying to do to him. So another one of those guys that really still has some room to grow at the next level, even if athletically he's probably ahead of a lot of these other guys in this class.
Traps, is there somebody we should be worried about, potentially like a buyer beware type? I know that I believe Josh had listed Brandon Smith as his buyer beware. Is there anybody that you're worried about in this linebacker class, whether it's on Josh's top 5 or somebody else from the class?
Brandon Smith's a good one because he misses a lot of tackles. He's that size, speed, athleticism specimen, but almost every game, it's 3 or 4 tackles that need to be made are not made by him. I think it's actually Leo Chenal from Wisconsin, in that if he was entering the NFL 10 years ago, I think he'd be a Patriots pick in the 1st or the 2nd round and just play downhill, be that Brandon Spikes or that Willie McGinnis type. In today's NFL, I think he's going to be a liability in coverage right away. Now, maybe he does land with the Patriots or a team that's just going to deploy him in that strong side linebacker role near the line of scrimmage, ask him to attack the quarterback, be a spy, blitz. In coverage, I didn't really see it from him. He had a couple interceptions, but they were tip passes. So to me, someone that's like Josh is saying, was a slow burn, not just for him, but for the entire draft community, that as people watched him, they saw the 40-inch vertical at the combine, said, man, this guy's probably an early day 2 pick. I think he's going to get onto a football field, and offensive coordinators at the NFL level are going to say, let's target him in coverage and make him not just sink into coverage, but cover our tight ends and man and really have that spatial awareness that's needed to be good in coverage. I didn't see him have to really do that very often at Wisconsin. So for me, Leo Chenal, good player on the first 2 downs, but on 3rd down or those obvious passing situations, I think he's got a ways to go.
Traps, Josh listed Mikey McFadden as his sleeper to try and give Josh some reprieve, because I can tell he's fighting through it. Tell me, give me the lowdown on Mikey McFadden, and Josh, you can jump in on your small school standout.
Mikey McFadden is a great selection. He reminds me so much of Josie Jewell who went on day 3 to the Broncos from Iowa a few years ago, 2018 draft, I believe. Mikey McFadden has the change of direction ability and the experience and effectiveness in coverage that a lot of these other more marquee linebackers just don't have in this draft class. I think leaves a little bit to be desired athletically, but the short area quickness is so important today at the linebacker spot. You have to be able to stop, plant, and drive on the football. His instincts are good. He's very instinctive and assertive against taking on blocks. That's really important too. So I think that's a great selection. Someone's going to pick him 3rd to 5th round, probably a little later, probably 5th round, and get a starter like the Broncos got in Josie Jewell.
Yeah, and a guy that had 12.5 sacks over the past 2 years. So you're getting a guy that, can
Good
rush
blitzer.
the passer a little bit as well. Exactly. My small school standout is Troy Anderson. Conventionally, we would not be talking about one of my top 5 linebackers as a small school standout, but he has, crossed that threshold. He's a small school player that also happens to be very good. At the NFL Combine, he was one of the better performers. Like I said, he still has to kind of learn the game a little bit and understand what he's seeing to react more quickly. But athletically, we've seen the NFL be drawn to these type of players in recent years. Jamin Davis, by all accounts, had some learning to do before he got into the NFL, and yet he was taken in the 1st round. So those teams are going to be drawn to the athleticism that Anderson brings.